So you're a mom and you're supposed to take care of yourself, take care of the family, take care of your partner and the house. Oh, and have a career too. And make sure self-care gets in there. It just feels like it's one more thing to do. I'm Michelle McVitie. I am Mom the Manager. I'm an author and parenting coach. And I am here with Paige Sparrow. She is a clinical social worker and she makes feeling your feels okay. She helps you work through the feelings because you don't have to have a mental illness to see a social worker. Sometimes we just need someone that can tune in to what our needs are. And she's got such a kind heart, and there's never judgment when you go and see Paige. So, Paige, hi, how are you?
Michelle, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. And hi, everybody.
So we are talking about mother's guilt. Mother's guilt, it gets in the way. We think, how do I fit one more thing in? I have so much going on, depending on the person. Sometimes they have a hard time dealing with stressors. Other people, maybe those stressors aren't going to bug them as much. Then we've got kids. Some of us have 2-year-olds, some of us have 15-year-olds, and some of us have more than one. And some kids that need a lot more support. So, what do I do when I feel like I'm drowning in my stress, but I feel too guilty to say, I can't just shut this all off? What do I do?
Yeah, thanks. That's such a great question. And definitely, as a mom of a toddler, something that I feel often myself. I feel like a lot, all mothers, all parents go through feeling guilt at some point in time. And sometimes it just feels like it's never enough, like that we're constantly just doing, and giving. And I can absolutely relate to feeling totally burnt out at times from not being able to kind of figure things out for myself, which is
Yes.
hard when you're a new parent and you have so much going on. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of different things that can be helpful. And I know out in the world lately, like self-care is this like big important buzzword that can be on top of all those other duties that you've talked about,
Yeah.
Michelle.
Mhm.
And I feel like not eliminating that self-care, if you have time and energy to do those things and you know what those things are, then amazing, get those things into your life and hopefully those will be helpful. If not, I think self-care can be looming and it kind of sticks over your head as like, oh my gosh, I should be taking a hot bath, or I should be going out for hikes, or I should be enjoying this cup of tea right now. And that just becomes another thing that makes us feel guilty. So I have been talking to people about switching that up and looking more internally as like self-compassion. So instead of what are the things you need to do to make yourself feel better or to take that guilt away, how can I be more compassionate to myself?
Mhm.
And sometimes that can be words that we say to ourselves. So if I'm feeling really stressed, saying to myself, like, oh my gosh, you've had such a hard week. My child hit me this morning and threw their cereal on the floor, and that was really hard for me.
Mhm.
So validating those emotions that we have and understanding ourselves, sometimes that can be putting like a kind hand on yourself, on your heart or on your stomach and taking a few breaths and giving yourself a minute. I think sometimes that can be walking away from a situation and just allowing yourself to feel the things you're feeling, because it makes sense that you're feeling how you feel because you've got a lot going on.
I
Does
love
that
that.
make
And I don't think we do that enough. I think there is social media is wonderful because we can
Yeah.
get our message out. There's a lot of different messages, and there are a lot of things out there that make us feel that we are not doing enough. Our children are not all dressed in white in a beautiful photo op. We are, tired. We are feeling overwhelmed. And then our children behaves this way, and we internalize it as it's me, it's my fault. Why
Yes.
does my child act this way,
Yeah.
especially when we're comparing? And so you're saying this is normal, that this is everyday life,
Yeah.
and to take that pause. And when you take that pause, you say to yourself, this has been a hard day. This
Yeah.
was really tough. And then you're saying, once you start doing that, then the self-care can happen, because without self-compassion, you're not going to do that self-care because the guilt is going to take over, right?
Yeah, it's just so hard to get there, to make time for that self-care stuff if the guilt is in the way. And
Yeah.
so just recognizing it, labeling it, calling yourself on those things, I think can be helpful, and being gentle to yourself.
I love that. And I think self-care means very different things. So you said already people are doing things you may not be aware. Some people are really good at having that bath instead of a shower because that's what they enjoy, or
Yeah.
sitting down to enjoy their coffee. I feel like with self-care, it's like, well, one more thing I have to add, or I can't do this and I can't do that. So that's not self-care. But
Yeah.
that's somebody else's version. And self-care is about refueling. What
Yeah.
makes you feel good? Laughing with a friend makes me feel good. That's
Yeah.
my version of self-care. Saying
Totally.
no to somebody and sticking up for myself, that is my version of self-care.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely. And I'm one of those like hot baths with smelly, nice things in it kind of person, or
yeah,
going out into the woods and walking around and being near a lake is amazing. So it's going to just depend on what you like. And obviously I can't go to the lake in the middle of the day when I'm having a tough day with my child. So it's
yeah,
figuring out what works in the big picture, and then also what works for you for day to day. And that
absolutely.
self-compassion piece can really come into play day to day.
I love that. Self-compassion, saying, this is okay. I am a human. I deserve to love myself. And the same love that you would give to a best friend if they had a bad day and you're like, don't worry about it. How can I support you? You got this. We don't do it to ourselves. So
Totally.
switching that role, because we have the tools, but it can be really tough and not the way that a lot of us were brought up, right? Suck it up, move forward. This is what you got yourself into. So let's move forward, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. And to not feel those feels. And it can be really scary if someone's asking you to do the opposite of that. Feel those feels, tell yourself it's okay, especially if that's something that you haven't learned from the past. So I think that that is important to recognize that in yourself too. We all have stuff that we carry with us from our own childhoods, and that impacts where we are today and how we handle emotion. And so this might be a great leap to be compassionate towards yourself. I love what you said about like pretending you're talking to your best friend, because we're obviously so much more kind to our friends than what we are to ourselves sometimes.
Absolutely. And if this is tough, this is when you reach out to somebody like you, Paige, where somebody that you can trust, someone that says, you know what, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I am in my snow globe of stress, and I need someone that's going to talk me through this, because we have to feel our emotions so we can move forward. But a lot of us have just been taught to shove it down, just smile and move on, because that isn't that big of a deal. You're not that big of a deal. And the more that you start loving yourself, the more that you're going to say, hey, how do I need help? Do I need a system? Do I need a routine? Do I need to ask my partner for more? And then I need some help with that. So I'm going to reach out to a professional. And it's not a weakness to ask for help. Your insight was fantastic. So I hope people find this helpful. And we are going to be doing more videos. So stay tuned.
Thank you.